Good day! In this video lesson, we're going to discuss all about one-to-one functions. This is the topic for your week 4. So how are you feeling today? I hope everyone is happy and of course excited to learn for this new topic. So in this week, I will ask you to do the following. Week 4, page 314, Activity 1.2, page 338, Activity 12.1, then assessments on the following pages, and then practice activity, page 389. So, na-send ko na din po ito sa ating mga GC kung ano mga kailangan yung gawin at i-accomplish for week 4. So, let's start first with representing real-life situation using one-to-one function. Okay, so in this Venn diagram, makikita nyo po na this is not a one-to-one function. Bakit kamo? This one, negative 1 and 0 is paired with 2 on the second circle. So, naulit siya. So, ibig sabihin po, this is not a one-to-one function. So, pag sinabi natin one-to-one function, yun po ay kailangang by pair lang. So, walang ibang kapares. So, pwedeng si negative 3 ipipair kay 0, then negative 1 ipipair ulit kay 0. So, negative 3 must be paired with exactly 1 y value. Okay? Now, so these are examples of a one-to-one function. So, di ba, sa SSS, if you're a member, you have your SSS number. So, bawat tao, bawat member ng SSS ay meron lang isang SSS number. Hindi pwedeng maging dalawa yung SSS number niya. So, that's why it's one-to-one function. Let's have another one. The relation pairing a citizenship of a person. Di ba, ang isang tao, pwede siyang magkaroon ng dalawang citizenship. So, pwedeng isang Filipino-Canadian, Canadian-American, Korean-Japanese. So, nagkakaroon siya ng possible na dalawang citizenship. So, this means it's not a one-to-one function. Another example ng one-to-one function ay yung inyong LRN number. Diba, lahat ng estudyante ay may kanya-kanyang LRN. So, hindi pwedeng maging dalawa ang LRN number mo. So, it's a pairing of your LRN number and you as a student. So, yun ay one-to-one function. So, pagdating naman sa graph, di ba, nung nilesson natin, a graph represents a function kapag nag-draw tayo ng vertical line test, tapos nag-intersect lang siya at exactly 1 point dun sa graph, so it's a function. Ngayon, paano naman natin malalaman na this function is a one-to-one function? Okay, this graph in figure 3 does not represent a one-to-one function. So, using the horizontal line test, kapag nag-draw tayo ng horizontal line test, this one, okay, di ba, dumaan siya dito sa point na to, okay, yan, another one, and then another one. So, that means, hindi lang isang point sa graph ang dinaanan niya, so this is not a one-to-one function. So, let's take a look at figure 4. Ito yung ating horizontal line na din row. Okay? This is our graph. Ito yung graph ng rational function. Okay? So, nakita natin, nung dinrow natin yung horizontal line test, nag-intersect lang siya at exactly 1 point. Here only. So, this means it's a one-to-one function. So, bakit ba mahalagang malaman natin na the function is a one-to-one function? Because only one-to-one function has an inverse. And we will tackle that after this. Now, for this part, I ask you to do this 10-item true or false activity. So, sasabihin lang natin kung true if it's a one-to-one function. Kapag hindi naman siya one-to-one function, false po siya. For example, let me do number 10. The brand name to pair of shoes. Diba? So, example, ang brand natin is Nike. So, ang Nike, meron siyang different pairs of shoes na nagawa na or na binibenta. So, ibig sabihin, hindi lang isang Nike na shoes ang binibenta all over. So, ibig sabihin, number 10 is false. It is not a one-to-one function. So, isusulat nyo lang dyan sa inyong papel is false. So, please do everything here on page 300, on activity 1.2 on page 314. Okay, now let's talk about the inverse of one-to-one functions. Uulitin ko, ang meron lang pong inverse ay ang one-to-one function. So, inverse function defined is a function with domain B and range A given that the original function has domain A and range B. Take note, we will be using this notation. F negative 1, then Y. It can be letter X, okay? Depende dun sa given na function. Now, how to find the inverse of one-to-one function? The inverse of a function may be known by the principle of undo, that is, by considering the inverse of operations performed. So, inverse lang ng operation. Kung positive, edi negative, okay? So, let's take a look at this example. Given f of x equals 3x minus 8, find the inverse of this function. So, intuitively, kasi it's just a linear function, di ba? So, 3x minus 8. So, yung x minus 8 magiging x plus 8. So, kinuha mo lang yung inverse. Then, yung 3, di ba? 3, i-divide mo lang yung x plus 8. So, therefore, the inverse function is equal to x plus 8 over 3. However, take note ha, it's not that easy in some case. So, in some case, we have to find the inverse of a one-to-one function using the following steps. Express the function in the form y equals f of x, interchange the x and y variables in the equation, and solve for y in terms of x. So, let's take a look at the next example. Find the inverse of the rational function h of x equals 4x plus 8 all over x minus 3. Okay? So, una daw, ang gagawin natin is yung h of x, okay? That h of x, itong h of x, papalitan natin ng y. So, magiging y na siya. Then, we just copy 4x plus 8 over x minus 3. 4x plus 8 over x minus 3. After that, interchange x and y. Diba? Ito y yan. Gagawin na natin siyang x. Okay? Then the x here will become y. So 4y plus 8 all over y minus 3. Then after that, we use the multiplication property of equality or shortcut. Lagi tayong mahilig sa shortcut. We can use cross multiplication. Diba? This is x over 1. So x times y minus 3. So, parang mangyayari yan ay x times y minus 3. Okay? Yan. Equals 1 times 4y plus 8. 4y plus 8. Diba? Yan. Ganyan. So, yung xy, diba? X times y, xy. Okay? X times y is xy. Then, x times negative 3, that's negative 3x. Then, equals 1 times 4y, 4y. Then, 1 times positive 8, positive 8. Then, after that, we combine similar terms. Yung may similar, we combine similar terms in terms of y. Kasi kailangan natin ng isolve for y. So, use the APE. Or the transposition. Itong may y dito, isasama natin dun sa may y rin dito. Okay? So, that is xy, positive 4y will become negative 4y, equals negative 3x will become 3x plus 8. Then, factoring na tayo ng y times the quantities, di ba? Parehong may y, so the common factor nila is y. xy divided by y, x na lang, kaya naiwan dun sa parenthesis is x, minus 4y divided by y is 4. So y times the quantity x minus 4 equals 3x plus 8. Since you have to solve for y, divide both sides by x minus 4. So tatanggalin mo yung x minus 4 dyan. Diba? Divide mo both sides by x minus 4. Okay, so makakancel yung x minus 4 dito, maiwan na lang is y. Then we have 3x plus 8 over x minus 4. Therefore, don't forget ang ating symbol or notation for inverse function is this one. H minus 1, okay, h raised to negative 1 of x, so our inverse function of x equals 3x plus 8 over x minus 4. Okay, so that's it. Interchange x and y. Then solve for y. Okay, so in this activity, you will find the inverse function of each of the following. So let me do the first one. So kahit ginawa ko na yung first one, you still have to do it in your answer sheets. Okay? So we have f of x equals x plus 2. So f of x equals x plus 2. So you may use the step na ginawa natin. Diba? So this is f of x will become y equals x plus 2. Then, interchange x and y. X equals y plus 2. Okay, then x minus 2, solve for y in terms of x, equals y. So, that means f inverse negative 1, di ba? Yung ating symbol na inverse function of x equals x minus 2. So, ganun lang siya. Yan na. So, this will be your solution. So, again, yung number 1, we can simply use the undo step na tinuro natin dun kanina. In example ko kanina, na you'll just get the reverse nung sign. So, x minus 2 na siya. So, dito, pwede nyo lang rin diretso na ang sagot nyo. Get the inverse of minus 1, then divide both all by the numerical coefficient. Okay? So, the rest, please do it in your answer sheets. Also include number 1. Tapos, ito assessment. Hindi ko masyadong malinaw, pero nasa module nyo naman yan. So, please do the assessments. Multiple choice tests only. Okay, now, we can represent an inverse function through table of values and graph. So, in using table of values of the functions, first we need to ascertain that the given function is a one-to-one function. So, ascertain. So, make sure that it is a one-to-one function. It is represented as the x values of the function resulted as the y values of its inverse. So, again, applying the horizontal line test. So, the graph of its inverse can be obtained by reflecting the graph about the line y equals x. So, yung graph niya is just a reflection na which is symmetric dun sa line y equals x. Okay. So, in this example, di ba, ito yung given na function, ito yung original function. So, applying our steps in finding the inverse, ito na yung inverse niya. So, let's represent muna itong original function, itong function na to, f of x equals 2x plus 3, using the table of values. So, ang gagawin lang, itong negative 2, negative 1, 0, 1, and 2 ay isa-substitute dito kay x dito. So, solution will be x or equals negative 2. So, that means f of negative 2, remember the lesson in evaluating functions, equals 2 times negative 2 plus 3. So, we have negative 4 plus 3, f of negative 2 equals negative 1. So, dito ang mangyayari, negative 1. Then here, negative 1, diba? 2 times negative 1 plus 3 is negative 2 plus 3, that's positive 1. Okay? And then we have, the next one is 3. Then the next one is 5. And this is 7. And then yung solution. Okay? So, ito na yung table. So, paano ba yung i-graph? Negative 2, negative 1. So, ito yung Cartesian plane. Okay? So, asan ba yung negative 2? Ito yung negative 2 natin, di ba? Tapos negative 1, so andito yung point. Ayan yung point. Okay? Another one is negative 1, positive 1. So, x is negative 1, positive 1. Okay, andito yung positive 1. Then, x is 0, y is 3. X is 1, y is 5. Okay, so, nandito siya banda. And then, 7. X is 2, y is 7. Dito pala, 5. And then, 7. X is 2, 6, 7. Assume natin na dito banda siya. Okay? So, i-connect mo lang yung line. Kaya nagkaroon tayo, di ba, may drawing na para sa inyo. So, this one. So, yan. Kapag itinuloy nyo yan, ganyan, and dinagdagan nyo pa yung value dyan ng x, haba yan hanggang dun, pababa. So, this is now the graph of f of x equals 2x plus 3. Ngayon naman, paano kaya ang graph ng kanyang inverse? So, sabi kanina, di ba doon, it's just a reflection. So, kung ito dito, so parang ganito lang siya. Okay, so let's see. Okay, ito naman yon. Ang inverse niya is this one. Okay? So, from there, isa-substitute lang rin natin yan. Negative 1, 1, 3, 5, 7. Pwede yan mag-iba ang x value. Okay? Pwedeng negative, same pa rin. Since dito, saan ba nanggaling yung negative 1, 3, 5, 7? Remember, na-solve na natin kasi yung kanina. So, yun na lang rin ang ginamit. So, solve nyo lang rin po yan. So, ang kalalabasan is negative 2, negative 1, 0, 1, and 2 for the y values. So, from that, ito naman yung magiging graph niya na. Okay? This is now the graph. And therefore, so kung ito yung 2x plus 3, ito yung kanyang inverse. Okay? So, this is now the inverse. So, anong napansin nyo nga? It's just a reflection, which is symmetric dito sa y equals x. Okay? So, yun yung pagre-represent ng graph ng inverse function. And then, I ask you to do the assessment. Now, how about the domain and range? So, di ba, na-lesson na natin yung domain and range. When we talk about domain, these are the values of x and the range are the possible values of y. Now, to determine the domain and range, so again, domain, all possible values of x, range, all the possible values of y. So, pag nalaman nyo na yung domain ng function, pagdating kay range, paano kaya yun magsosolve ka pa ba? So, once na alam mo na ang domain at range ni function, mas madali nang makuha yung inverse, domain and range ni inverse function. So, ang domain ng f ay ang range ng function. At ang range naman niya ay ang kanyang domain. Okay? So, kung ito yung original function, this is the domain, yun yung x values. Which is, this is the domain. Ito yung range. Okay? Ito naman yung range. So, anong napansin nyo? Pagdating kay inverse, yung domain, the original function, siya na yung range. At yung range dito, di ba ito range din yan, siya naman yung domain ng inverse. Okay? So, the properties of inverse function, in the inverse is a one-to-one function if there's only an inverse if it's a one-to-one function. The domain of the inverse is the range and the range of the inverse is the domain of the function. So, yun lang po ang tatandaan ninyo. So, find the domain and range of the inverse function of x plus 2 over 3. So, to find the domain and range of an inverse function, go back to the original function and then interchange the domain and range of the original function. So, that is, yung kanina yung example natin. The original function is f of x equals 3x minus 2. So, the original function domain is the set of all real numbers. Diba? Ang domain niya is the set of all real numbers. And the range is also set of real numbers kasi linear function yan. So, thus, the domain and range of this is also, of the inverse, is also the set of all real numbers. So, ibig sabihin yung mga possible value ng x. And this will be your activity for this topic, and you have to do the assessment. So, always remember, every accomplishment starts with a decision to try. So, that's it. I hope everyone have understood kung paano mahanapin yung inverse ng function. So, if you have questions, PM Ma'am Lala. That's it. Goodbye and see you in my next video lesson.